This video is just to walk through the process for printing and revising the logbooks and just explain sort of how it's done and give some tips to make it easier. So this sheet here, this is in the CRC logbooks file. This is just kind of like the how-to page. Tells you like how many pages need to be printed for each, whether the binding is top edge or short edge, you know, 1 page equals 2 weeks or 1 page equals 1 day, etc. So I start out by printing a copy of that file, and then just as I revise and print each of these, I mark it off, and I also make the changes while it's printing. So as you can see from the stacks of paper, there's quite a bit of printing to do. And just because of a quirk of Excel, it's actually easiest to print all on one side, flip the stack of paper, reload it in the drawer, and just, you know, pay attention to what it says about which way things face in order to print on the side you want to print on, and print on the other side. Sounds crazy, but I've been through it. Excel is it's just faster and easier to do it that way. So that's one thing to note. So you can see here for the plant log that this is blank up here, and that's because the date comes from a different file. So well, I won't open it, but there's another file that basically it's got just the date up here, and across the bottom it's got 365 tabs, and that's because each one of them is the date. And then that means basically you can, once you've printed this on both sides, you can put that stack in the drawer, and you can basically select all tabs across the bottom and print that entire file double-sided. And so for Excel, printing like that double-sided, selecting all the tabs, it works. But it doesn't make sense to do it for this because, I mean, otherwise you'd have 365 pages that you'd be trying to date and make the changes to. So it's just easier to make the changes to this, which you can kind of call the template, and then print the dates separately. And I'll show you that on the pages in a minute. But basically, each one of these tabs is one of the different logbooks. Not sure why it's doing this. And so each one you just go through, make any changes you need to make as you're printing, and you can pretty much keep the printer running steady as you keep, you know, pulling paper out and swapping it. Once you've got all of them printed, it'll look basically like this, but without the holes. So using the guide that's on this sheet, that will help you make sure that you mark with a sticky note and an arrow where the holes need to get punched. This is very important because otherwise Bow Valley Basics will likely do it incorrectly. It's happened. So the sticky notes with these little binder clips works great. Make it as clear and as simple as possible. I write these notes on the PO to make it very clear that we don't want the coils in. We just want to buy the coils. These bigger coils we have lots of. There's just 3 sizes of coils. That's all on the sheet as well, what size coils are needed. So the books that have more pages, like this one, for example, and again, marked on here, those ones use like the medium-sized coils. The plant logs use the biggest coils. The rest of the books use the smaller coils. And so a couple of tips for when you're actually doing the swapping of the coils is, like, say you've got a book like this that's nice and clean, it hasn't been like beaten up. So those books, you just cut the end off, which I've already done. If you cut it at an angle like this, it'll make feeding it back through much easier, because after you pull the board out, you're going to feed it back in order to put it so that we can file it for archiving. and keep them together. We only have so many of these boards that I made up, so it's easier to switch them than it is to make new boards. If you have one like this that's like a little bit rough, like it got some water damage or something, it can be easier to put like some stacks of paper on top of it with the logbook side down, and then the paper can act as a weight to basically help hold it in place and keep everything lined up. And then you can spin with both hands, and it goes a little bit quicker when the pages are really a little messy. So that's helpful to speed things up. If you've got a nice clean one like this, then it can be much easier. So you can just like fold out that little piece first to get it started, and then once you kind of get it going, you can just take both hands and you can spin it out really quickly. And then when you go to put it back in, you can basically do the same thing like what I'm doing here with this to get it so that, you know, when you go to spin it back in, you get these really nicely lined up, and then you put weight on here, and then with that angled edge, right, so you've got a nice angle on this where it's been cut, it helps it feed itself in much easier. And you know, if you look and you make sure that your holes are nicely straight and lined up, then it makes the feeding in much quicker, and it makes this whole process a lot easier. Now, after you've put in each book together, you then want to cut those edges, and you want to give it like one full extra loop and then a bend. And the reason for that is you want it so that when you, oh, this has got the binder clip on it still, when you flip the pages over, you have adequate additional loop that you're not like running over the end, and that you also don't have like so much hanging off here that it's going to get bent and messy. So having kind of like just an extra half loop with that bend in it is perfect. And that's really about all there is to it. You just, you know, it takes a little bit of time, but Bow Valley Basics is usually pretty good about punching the holes within a couple days of dropping them off. Just be really clear on your timelines, and yeah, it's pretty easy once you get the swing of it.